By Funky Kwaramba, the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission ZACC is digging into the goings-on at Air Zimbabwe, it seems, with its investigators keen on unraveling the nexus between former President Robert Mugabe's son-in-law and Zimbabwe Airways. Simba Chikere seen here with President Mugabe and wife Grace. The Daily News can report that the corruption watchdog is currently seized with matters relating to Airteam and Zimbabwe Airways, and is convinced that Simba Chikere, Mugabe's son-in-law, may assist in laying the facts bare because he was previously involved with both. ZACC Commissioner in charge of investigations Goodson Nguni confirmed that Chikere, who is married to Mugabe's only daughter, Bona, was under the radar. "We are investigating what happened at Air Zimbabwe, and we will give you more details when we are done with the investigations before end of week," he said. The investigations, according to insiders at ZACC, could extend to government officials who either facilitated a Zimbabwe Airways deal or had fiduciary responsibility over Airteam during the period when things fell apart at the parastatal. Zimbabwe Airways is said to be privately owned, although its ownership structure has remained a closely guarded secret as there are no records at the company registry of those behind it. It was expected to take to the skies in November last year, but its plans ran into serious complications following the change of guard at Munhumutapa building engineered by the military last November. Highly placed sources at ZACC told the Daily News that Transport Minister Joram Gumbo may not escape the investigation since he worked closely with Chikere before Mugabe's dramatic fall. Gumbo and Chikere had made several trips to Malaysia, where Zimbabwe Airways acquired 4 second-hand Boeing 777 planes at an estimated combined cost of about $1 billion. This was after Malaysia Airlines, which has a fleet size in excess of 70 aircraft, revealed that it was disposing a fleet of Boeing 777s because it believed they were cursed after 2 of its planes, MH370 and MH317, were involved in disasters that cost lives. While Nguni refused to be drawn into whether Gumbo would be investigated, he insisted that ZACC will carry out its mandate without fear or favor. The development comes amid rumors that the architects behind Zimbabwe Airways wanted to sink the debt-ridden Airteam, which for many years had benefited from government's protectionist policies. Airteam's old fleet comprises 2 Boeing 767s, 3 737s, 3 MA60s, and 2 Airbus A320s. Only 3 of these are flying: 1 Boeing 767, 1 737 and an MA60. The parastatal, which is said to be losing up to $3 million a month, is saddled with a $300 million declared debt. It has, over the past 3 decades, struggled to shake off claims of corruption and ineptitude, which has led to the dismissals of several of its boards and senior managers. When Chikere resigned from Airteam last year after having been appointed to the airline in September 2016, rumor had it that he had done so to concentrate on Zimbabwe Airways and avoid potential conflict of interest. During his time at the national flag carrier, he was the parastatal's chief operating officer. Despite having a chief executive officer above him, Chikere used to call the shots at Airteam, resulting in a strained relationship between him and his boss Ripton Musenda. The tiff could have contributed to Musenda's departure from Airteam under unclear circumstances. Contacted for comment yesterday, Gumbo was evasive on the perilous state of affairs at Airteam and the relationship with Zimbabwe Airways. "I will issue a statement," said the transport minister. Since President Emmerson Mnangagwa assumed office on November 24 last year, several former government officials, mostly from the dismantled Generation 40 faction, have been hauled before the courts on corruption charges. None among the current batch of ministers and those who were in the victorious Team Lacoste faction have been charged, Nguni said. While Zach's hands were previously tied during Mugabe's reign, the anti-graft body was now working without interference under the new dispensation, which has declared zero tolerance to corruption. It is part of the 100 Days program that has been initiated by the president, and we are investigating more people. We cannot say who exactly. We are investigating, but we're doing our jobs in terms of the Constitution, said Nguni. I can tell you, though, that there are more cases that we will follow because we are fulfilling our mandate. This time, there is no interference from government, as opposed to yesteryear. The executive is actually supporting all our efforts, he said. Daily News.